Welcome back to Madman Review. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where cops knock on your door or pull you over, asking to see your guns, and you don't know how to react? If you have, join us as we talk about rights you might not even know you have. In this video, we'll tackle a hot topic that stirs up a lot of questions and, honestly, some confusion. How to legally respond when law enforcement wants to see your guns. Whether it's an unexpected visit at your front door or during a routine traffic stop, knowing how to react is crucial. We're breaking it down into two main scenarios: those ATF agents or police officers showing up at your house, and what happens when you're on the road and they're curious about your guns. Stick around, because we're about to unpack 13 tips that could save you a lot of headaches and ensure you're protecting yourself and your rights. Let's get into it. Section 1. Home visits by ATF or police officers. Tip number 1, understand your rights. Alright, let's jump right in with something super important: knowing the difference between NFA and non-NFA firearms and how that plays into your rights. So, what's the deal? NFA firearms include the heavy hitters. Think machine guns, suppressors, short-barreled shotguns. These guys are under tighter scrutiny. Then you've got your non-NFA firearms, like your standard rifles, handguns, and AR-15s, which have a bit more breathing room under the law. So the Fourth Amendment's got your back, protecting you from random searches and seizures by the cops. But because you're rocking a bunch of non-NFA firearms doesn't mean officers can just stroll in to check them out. They need a warrant or a clear yes from you. But watch out for the plain view doctrine. If they see something fishy in plain sight, they can't grab it. So it's in your best interest to keep anything they shouldn't see out of view. Tip number 2. You have zero obligation to show firearms. Here's the lowdown. Just because someone shows up at your door with a badge asking to see your firearms doesn't mean you're required to lay out the welcome mat and show off your collection. The rule of thumb's pretty straightforward. If they don't have a warrant, you're under no obligation to show them anything. This is all about your legal rights. The Constitution isn't just fancy talk, it's got your back here, ensuring your privacy and property are protected from unwarranted intrusions. So, if an officer or ATF agent comes knocking, asking to peek at your guns, remember this: without a warrant in hand, you're perfectly within your rights to politely decline. Keeping this tip in mind ensures you're respecting the law while you're also protecting your own rights and privacy. Tip number 3. Do not give consent. Alright, let's talk about searches. You might feel the pressure if an officer shows up asking to take a look inside your place or peek into your firearm cabinet. Here's the deal. Giving the green light for a search without a warrant can open up a can of worms you don't want to deal with. Why? Because once you say yes to a search, you're basically handing over the keys to your privacy. And here's the kicker. Not consenting to a search doesn't mean you're hiding something nefarious. It means you're savvy about your rights. Again, your Fourth Amendment rights protect you from unreasonable searches, and invoking it doesn't make you suspicious. It makes you informed. So remember, if there's no warrant, you have every right to politely say no thanks to any search requests. It's not about being difficult. It's about being smart with your rights. Tip number 4, avoid opening the door. So, if the law enforcement is on your doorstep, knocking on your door, but they're not flashing a warrant, what do? Simple. You don't have to do anything. Just keep your door closed. This might sound like you're being uncooperative, but keeping the door closed tells them you're smart with your space and your rights. Opening the door can unintentionally signal to officers that you're open to letting them in or even just talking, which can lead to a whole host of complications you didn't sign up for. If they're there to chat, they can do so through the door or window, and they can leave their contact info for you to follow up if you choose. Remember, your home is your castle, and without a warrant, you're under no obligation to open your gates. Tip number 5, remain silent. Here's the scoop on keeping things cool when officers come knocking without a warrant. Exercising your right to remain silent is golden. It's like knowing what to do in situations where you're unsure what to do. You might feel the urge to explain yourself or your situation, but here's the thing. Maintaining your silence is a solid move. It might look like you're giving officers the cold shoulder, but you're really only protecting yourself and your privacy until you have a clear understanding of the situation. If they're looking to have a conversation or ask questions about your firearms, remember, you have the right to politely decline to engage until you've got legal representation or see a warrant. Speaking of, tip number 6, request to see the warrant. All right, let's dive into something crucial, the warrant check. If law enforcement shows up claiming they've got a warrant, you're totally within your rights to say, let's see it. There's nothing wrong with making sure that everything's on the up and up, right? Here's how you handle it like a champ. Ask them to slide that warrant under the door or hold it up to a window so you can give it a good look. See? This step is key because it lets you verify that the warrant is legit and specifically outlines what they're there to search or seize. Making sure that warrant checks out before you open your doors is like double-checking the safety gear before a skydive. No warrant, no entry. Section 2, during traffic stops. Tip number 7, remain calm and polite. So you're cruising down the road and see those flashing lights in your rear view. Your heart might skip a beat, but you should remember to keep your cool and stay polite. It's like dealing with a bear in the woods. You want to be cautious, not confrontational. When the officer approaches, make sure your hands are visible and greet them with a calm demeanor. If they ask for your license and registration, hand them over without fuss. This isn't the time for debates or expressing frustration, even if you feel the stop was uncalled for. Staying collected and cooperative can make your interaction smoother and quicker. Think of it as navigating through a tricky level in a video game. The calmer and more respectful you are, the better chances you have of a positive outcome. It's all about making the situation as stress-free as possible for you and the officer. Tip number 8, do not consent to vehicle searches. Caught in a spot where an officer hints they want to take a peek inside your vehicle? No worries. Just decline. Yeah, it's that simple. You might think, but hey, I've got nothing to hide. Even so, waving them in without a warrant can complicate things more than you'd expect. If an officer asks, mind if I look around your car? Your best bet is to calmly say, I'd prefer not without a warrant. You're not being defiant here, you're only sticking to your legal rights. This response keeps things clear and respectful, ensuring you're not inadvertently waiving your Fourth Amendment protections. Remember, you're not being uncooperative, you're informed. Declining a search isn't about hiding anything, it's about safeguarding your privacy and ensuring any search is legally justified. Keep it straightforward and polite, and you'll navigate this like a pro. Tip number 9, keep quiet. Here's the deal. If you're ever pulled over and the conversation starts heading into territory you're not comfy with, remember, you've got the right to zip it. It's like having a mute button in a conversation that's going south. You might wonder, when's the right time to hit that button? Pretty much any time you feel like answering could put you in a tight spot. If an officer starts firing off questions that make you feel uneasy, it's totally okay to say, I choose to exercise my right to remain silent. It's not about being rude or secretive, it's about protecting yourself until you can chat with someone who's got your back legally. Tip number 10, avoid sudden movements. All right, picture this. You're in your car, pulled over, and feeling a bit anxious. Here's a key move. Keep those movements slow and predictable. Think of it like you're in a nature documentary and you don't want to spook the wildlife. Quick jerks or reaching under your seat can send the wrong message, making an officer think you're up to something risky. They're on high alert for their safety, so even an innocent scramble for your wallet can be misread as a red flag. The best approach? Tell the officer what you're going to do before you do it. Like, I'm going to grab my registration from the glove box now, okay? It's all about clear communication to keep the vibe calm. This way you avoid any misunderstandings that could escalate the situation. Tip number 11, ask if you are free to leave. So you're sitting there. The chat with the officer seems to be going on forever, and you're wondering, can I just go? Here's what you should do. Just ask. Politely drop a, "Officer, am I free to leave?" Now be careful not to sound like you're rushing them, so be careful how you say this. Don't make it sound like you're in a hurry. Be calm and polite about it. If they say yes, then you're all set to slowly and safely hit the road again. But if they say no, that's your clue that this stop has shifted gears and you're being detained. Knowing this gives you clarity on the situation. This simple question puts everything in perspective, helping you gauge how to handle things moving forward. Plus, it's a respectful way to remind everyone involved about your rights in the process. Tip number 12, do not resist, but state you are under duress. Stuck in a spot where the cop's gonna search no matter how chill you are? Remember, don't push back, just be clear. You can say, "I'm under duress, I don't consent to the search." Keeps things straight without stirring the pot. By saying this, you're letting them know that you're not looking for trouble, but you're also not giving up your rights. By expressing non-consent, you're laying down a marker that could be important later on, without escalating the situation into confrontation territory. Think of it as making a note for the record while keeping the peace. You're protecting your rights while also protecting yourself from a more serious conflict. Tip number 13, invoke your right to counsel if detained. If after you've tried everything on this list, the situation still takes a turn for the worse, and it's clear you're not just there for a quick chat, you're being detained. Best thing to do in these situations is to lawyer up, saying, "I want to speak with my attorney." Lets them know that you're aware and you're invoking your right to counsel, sending a clear message that you know your rights and you're serious about them. It's like hitting the pause button on the situation until you can get advice from someone who knows the legal landscape inside and out. Remember, always ask for a lawyer so you navigate this situation as wisely as possible. And that wraps up our rundown of the top 13 tips for when the cops want to check out your guns. From keeping your door closed without a warrant to knowing when to zip it during a traffic stop, keep these tips in your back pocket and you'll get through these scenarios like a pro. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, hit that subscribe button for more insights, share this video to spread the word, and drop your stories or questions in the comments. And click on that little bell icon for more of these videos. Thanks for watching.